Shay.
And I'm Hannah, and we're Dinnernational. Today we're going to be cooking Japanese food.
So there's a wide variety of Japanese food that we like and enjoy, but there was one thing that we've never made before. It's ramen. Ramen as a dish probably originated somewhere in China, but traveled to Japan, became an integral part of the culture over there, and has become an international cultural icon.
So while he's making the ramen, I'm going to make the Ajitama eggs, which are going to go on top of the ramen, and I'm also going to make a side of pork gyoza, which I'm really excited about because that was one of my favorite things to eat as a child.
So let's get started.
So the first thing we're gonna do is get the Ajitama eggs out of the way. We're just doing 3. They're soft-boiled eggs. In the interest of saving time, I didn't show you me boiling these eggs. I'm sure you'll figure it out. We're going to add half a cup of sake, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of mirin, and 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And you might need to use water depending on how many eggs you have, how big your bowl is, but we probably won't need it for this. We're gonna leave this for a minimum of 4 hours, but you can keep it overnight.
Let's make some chashu. We are gonna use pork belly for our chashu, which is typically rolled up. There's also different other kinds of chashu where you just use a pork shoulder or like just unrolled pork belly. Chashu is actually derived from the Chinese barbecue term char siu. You see the similarity over there? What I have here is like a 1 pound pork belly. What I did is I kind of sliced it into like a relatively thin shape. So you know how the pork belly is like thinner on one side, thicker on the other. I kind of just got it to be a similar thickness so that it's like easier to roll. So what I'm just gonna do over here is roll this. You don't want it to be like super tight, but reasonably tight is good. And you could tie it up with some butcher's twine, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to use this cheesecloth that I've cut into thin strips to tie it and keep it secure. So as you can see, I'm like rolling it fairly tight, and it's like a nice, beautiful meat roll. It's really simple, nothing fancy over there. I'm just gonna tie it simply, making sure that it's secure. And then I'm gonna do the same thing 2 more times, going around. Okay, so we've got this nice secure pork bundle, and as you can probably guess, this is my sous vide machine, and it's just an immersion circulator that basically keeps this water in the pot at a constant temperature. We're gonna cook it at 175 degrees, 174, 175, for about 7 hours. If you don't have one of these sous vide machines, what you can rather simply do is just put this meat along with all of these other things into a pot and keep it in the oven at 275 for like 3 to 4 hours. If you've never seen this being used, watch my other video about sous vide. This is like a Ziploc bag. It's a freezer safe container which can sustain like hot water temperatures. I'm just gonna put this thing inside this bag. What I have here is about 5 green onions. I've just cut this into like small pieces. This is about 3 big cloves of garlic. About like an inch or 2 of ginger, also rough chopped. And this is just the white part of 1 leek that I've cut into little parts as well. If you don't have leek, you can always use scallion or even onions. Basically, it's just like an onion-like flavor, right? Doesn't need to be fancy or anything like that. I'm just trying to get everything fit inside this, and in a way that there isn't like a lot of air in the package, because we'll get rid of most of the air while we're cooking sous vide. And just to make things easier for you, the rest of the ingredients that I'm going to pour in are the exact same ingredients in the exact same quantities that you'd use for the Ajitama eggs that Hannah just showed you. So what we have here is mirin, sake, some sugar, and some soy sauce. As you can see, this is like really interesting. This is gonna be delicious. So it's like sweet and salty and very nice. So as you can see, I'm getting most of the air out of this bag. You can use a vacuum sealer if you have one of those things. I don't have a vacuum sealer. I don't think it's actually required. So I just kind of like seal it up right from the top, roll it together tightly, pushing all the air out. And this kind of simulates a vacuum type situation. My sous vide machine is at 175. It's keeping the water at a constant exact 175 degrees. And I'm gonna put my bundle in the water. Just make sure that it's submerged and leave it at 175 degrees for 7 to 8 hours. See you in a bit. Now for the broth. The broth is the most critical part of a ramen recipe because if the soup base is not tasty, then the ramen is no good. So we are making a tonkotsu ramen. Tonkotsu just means pork bones. I couldn't find any femurs or like neck bones or anything like that, but what I could find was pork bones. These are like rib bones. So essentially what I did was I got about 3 pounds of pork bones and 2 chicken bones. So it's like the whole carcass of a chicken. You can just get it in most Asian markets. And I soaked it in water overnight. As you can see, these are looking like very white and pale. I'm gonna spare you the footage, but essentially the idea over here is to get most of the impurities and unclean things out. I know it sounds like a little bit counterintuitive, but all of the ramen recipes that we saw specific to tonkatsu called for this method. So the idea is to get like a really clean and clear white cloudy broth instead of getting like a brown, golden brown, those kind of broth colors. As a reminder, make sure you do soak these bones overnight. You can still eat it without it, but you just won't achieve the same color. So it's important that you do. I discarded the water from last night and I filled this pot up with water. So now I'm gonna bring this up to a boil and fish off the scum or any kind of impurities that rise up to the top. Discard that water, scrub these bones clean, and then make our broth. So let's get started with that. Skim the scum, skim the scum, skim the scum, skim the scum. That was a lot of work. Scrubbing all of these bones clean and getting it to this level of cleanliness took a lot of time. And I definitely appreciate the ramen makers who do this every day. So I have my Instant Pot set to saute. I have like 2 tablespoons of oil here. So what we're going to do is just quickly saute these aromatics, and what we have over here is 2 leeks, about 5 green onions, the white and the green parts, 6 cloves of garlic, and about 2 inches of ginger. I also have like half of a yellow onion, skin and all. I mean, I'm including the skin. We'll just saute this real quick for like about 5 minutes maybe, and then add these cleaned bones in there. Oil's getting hot, so I'm just gonna put the onions in. All these other things go in too. So the aromatics have been going for about 5 minutes. I'll just give this a quick stir and add the rest of the bones in there. This just goes right on top of the bones. I'm just gonna pour like 4 cups of water. I guess it needs a little bit more water, so I'm gonna pour in 4 more. My bones are completely submerged. Now I'm gonna cook it on high pressure for 2 hours.
So the broth is going to be a while. In the meantime, we're going to make the filling to our gyoza. We're using pork. There's lots of different kinds, but we're going to do pork today. I have about 200 grams of ground pork, and I have an equal amount of cabbage, which I've microwaved just kind of to wilt it a little bit. I put it in there for a minute, splash some water on it first. I've chopped up 1 shiitake mushroom. We're going to add that. This is 1 scallion chopped. Garlic and ginger paste. This is 1 garlic clove and an equal amount of ginger. Half a teaspoon of soy sauce. Half a teaspoon of sesame oil. Half a teaspoon of sake. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of black pepper. All right, my mixing hand out. It's really, really fun. So you're just gonna mix this until it's pretty well incorporated. It's all one nice paste. We're gonna let this rest in the fridge for a little while so it can firm up, because right now it is quite soft, as you can see. So yeah, it's looking good. Can't wait to wrap these. So I'm gonna stuff the gyoza wrapper now. Use about 1 teaspoon of filling. You really don't wanna overfill these because it's gonna get pretty hard to fold. You're gonna wet the outer edges with water. You're gonna create kind of a glue and fold this in half. Press the seams down, and now we're gonna fold it. There's a couple different ways to fold it, but I think we've had some good luck with going one direction. So as you can see, it's not perfect. I'm new at this, but you've created little pleats on the top. It is a dumpling, and it kind of looks like gyoza. It's time to pan fry the gyoza. You can deep fry these if you want. So I'm going to layer these flat side down in the pan and brown the bottoms. And that'll take about 3 minutes. And then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water, cover, and cook for another 3 minutes. So the bottoms are brown already. This only took about 2 minutes. So I'm gonna add the 1/4 cup of water. All right, so it has been 3 minutes. I'm gonna uncover these. Oh my gosh, they look amazing. They're ready to eat after you add a little sesame oil on top.
Let's talk about the tare. Now, the tare is the final punch that actually adds all the seasoning into your otherwise bland soup broth. What we have over here is some shiitake mushrooms, some kombu or dried kelp. These are bonito flakes, which is basically a dried fish flake, and a ton of soy sauce. And if all of this was not salty enough, we have about an ounce of salt as well. All we're gonna do is boil all of these ingredients in a large stock pot filled with water and get like a reduction. Don't worry, we're not gonna use the entire quantity in our ramen, but then this saves in your fridge for almost a month. So we'll just season as and when required. All right, let's get boiling. So our water is boiling. So the kombu or the kelp goes in first. As you can see, this is like really dry. I can just tear it to shreds and put it in there. If you were keeping record, this is like 4 cups of water. Dried shiitakes go in. Okay, so I'll let this steep in the boiling water for about 5 minutes. Our kombu and mushrooms have been steeping for about 5 minutes. What I'll do now is switch the burner off and put the bonito flakes in there. So this was half an ounce of bonito. Careful, the steam is really hot. I'll give this a quick stir and then just let it steep. See you in about 10 minutes. So our tare has been steeping for about 7 to 10 minutes. Now let's finish this. This is an ounce of salt. I'm just gonna put this into the measuring cup. You'll see why. And I'm going to strain out these liquids. So I have about 2 cups of stock and I'm adding 1 cup of soy sauce. That's it. Our tare is ready and I'm going to reserve this in my fridge until I need to use this. And we're not going to use this whole thing. We'll just use a couple tablespoons of this to flavor our ramen. So we're getting to the final stretch. This ramen that we cooked for 2 hours in the pressure cooker, we let it naturally release. So that was about like 30 to 45 minutes. Then it was depressurizing. Now I've put it on a stove top and now I'm gonna bring this to a rolling boil. It's like all the way cranked up to high and this is just gonna boil. And once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna let it boil for another 30 to 45 minutes. So what we are trying to do over here is concentrate all the flavors in this. This is like a pretty concentrated broth already, but then once we let all the water evaporate, it's just gonna get more and more concentrated and gonna be a delicious soup. See you in a bit. Alright, so our chashu has been cooking sous vide for 7 hours. So we pulled it out and let it sit, scraped off all of the garlic and all of those things. We don't have like a grill, or otherwise we could have done it on that, or otherwise we could have always done this on a frying pan. So I'm just gonna sear this on the outside. And as you can see, the twine is still on there, the cheesecloth that I used to tie it up, it is still on there. And we would cut it off once this is browned on all sides. So let's brown it on each side for like about 5 minutes and then slice it and serve.
All right, so I'm gonna boil the ramen noodles now. We just use packaged ramen noodles because we're not gonna make our own. I mean, you saw how the gyoza looks. I'm kidding. So I'm just gonna drop this into some water, boil for 4.5 minutes and strain.
It's about 8:30, you guys. We started cooking at 10 in the morning. I'm not kidding. So now it's the final moment of truth. Let's find out whether this is all that it's chalked out to be. I already poured like 3 tablespoons of tare in this bowl that I intend to serve this on. And I'm gonna ladle the ramen on top. Look at that beautiful golden brown color. It's almost like kind of thick. It's all the collagen from the chicken and the pork. So I'm just gonna pour like 4 or 5 ladles of that in here. As you can see, this beautiful broth kind of changes color. And then I'm gonna add our ramen noodles. Okay, so that's now a perfect mix of tare and broth. It's really good. Always adjust according to your own preferences. So now I'm going to get these beautiful chashu rings and serve 2 to a portion. I'm gonna add some green onions on top. And remember the egg we made in the morning? That goes in over here. Isn't that a beautiful bowl of ramen? I'm super excited about these.
Stop.
I'm super excited about this, guys. I'm gonna go and dig in with the gyoza.
Oh yeah, let's do that. A little appetizer. Good?
Super crunchy. Oh my god.
I'm so excited because they look like beginner gyoza, because they are, but they taste really good, like restaurant quality.
I didn't even see you make that dipping sauce. Maybe you should show me next time.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot. Just a little vinegar and soy sauce.
I'm gonna go in for the ramen now. I've never made any of this. I've never made a chashu. I've never made an egg like that. Oh, I've definitely made some instant ramen in my life, but I'm sure it's not the same.
It's so good.
Wow. Oh my god. I actually thought that this would not be good because, you know, we boiled the bones first and got all of the stock out. That sounds kind of counterintuitive, but this is such a clean tasting broth.
Try the chashu. That crispy outer layer is amazing. Yeah, perfect browning.
Oh wow, the meat is like really tender, isn't it? And the egg is like nice and jammy in the middle. And then I'm mixing the yolk a little bit with the broth that makes it nice and thick. I'm gonna go in for the noodle. This is a delicious bowl of food, you guys.
But it takes forever to make, so you guys have to decide if you're prepared to spend your entire day making ramen.
Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna put this into my weeknight meal rotation, but definitely great for a perfect occasion if you want to like impress your friends. See you next time.